Just for us, there's some people that are joining that want to have a recording, and so I'm going to record it for them. So the purpose of this positioning power hour is to share the 5 shifts that CEOs make, that the smart CEOs make these shifts now, so that they can thrive in 2026, 2027. And these are really profound shifts that impact how well they are perceived in the market. And I'll be sharing those 5 shifts today. And we're going to have open discussion about these shifts, what they mean to you, how you're positioned, what you're doing, what problem you're solving, who you're selling to. We're going to go deep in all of that because the purpose of this is not like a lecture. This is not a webinar. This is I would say, a real honest, open conversation designed to help you cut through the noise, attract ideal customers, and grow your business. Okay?
Sure.
So that's why I'm here. And so as people are joining, I can put out here a couple questions and things for us to consider. Um, so, uh, I mean, I'll be sharing a lot today about how to the best frames to do this. But if you don't know who I am, I'm the author of Storycraft for Disruptors. You can pick it up on Amazon. I'm also the founder of Pitch Kitchen, an agency. You can look us up online as well. And but I do this once every 2 weeks to really give my love and my time, my passion to help CEOs break through. And that's why we talk about these 5 shifts. So, as a way of getting started, I mean, one things I like to put up on the screen is a signpost that you may be struggling to differentiate is if you're using any of these words in your messaging. So, if we were to be honest with each other, do you recognize any of these words, any of these phrases you're using in your messaging marketing? Jeff, Uday, Ling?
I think a lot of them.
Yeah. And so, why do you suppose this is a signpost that you're struggling to differentiate? Why do you suppose? These are words that ChatGPT would be happy to give you, by the way, because we're going to talk about the 5th shift and how to really be using AI in the right way, effectively, uh, to lower your cost, 25x efficiency, as well as have it be 100% on brand. But why do you suppose you're using words like this?
Anybody can say them.
Yeah. So maybe as a way of getting started, marketing data skate. I'm sorry, what did you say your name was?
Reggie, R-A-J, Reggie
Reggie.
Abraham.
So just as a way of getting started, do you want to just share a little bit about what, just take 30 seconds. What is it that you do? What innovation are you bringing to the world? Why don't we start there? 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure. Our primary go-to-market currently is in the digital workspace. Workers for using AI,
Hmm.
and we have been in the space providing technology integrations with the integration platforms for more than a decade.
Hmm. Great. Awesome. Great. So the first shift we're going to be talking about is, are you selling a vitamin or a painkiller? Are you problem centric or solution centric? But just, brace yourself. We're going to go there because people don't buy solutions anymore. We'll talk about what people really do buy in the 5 shifts. So welcome, Jeff. Welcome, Uday, Marcella. So this is camera on optionally, but if you want to get a lot out of it, keep the camera on and answer the questions that we're all talking. This is a conversation. So Jeff, do you want to share a little bit about what you do? 30 seconds, what you do, who you sell to, just to give some context.
Sure. In a nutshell, we build demand generation engines for B2B firms.
Great. Great, thank you. And Uday, and maybe Reggie and Jeff and Uday, Marcella, Michael, feel free to share what, I believe you're here for a reason. There's no accident that you're spending time with me right now. This is going to be a powerful discussion, but I'm just curious, what do you want to get? What were you hoping to get out of this conversation today? Anyone can talk.
Well, you mentioned about the market shift, right? So I'm curious about, this. Most of the time we go into the market with certain ideas about this is how it has worked in the past. And when somebody says things have shifted, then I'm curious about knowing, okay, what is that? What is
Yeah.
it I have to relearn
Yeah.
to come to the new market?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll talk about the five shifts that if you don't make these five shifts, you're probably not going to make it till 2027. These are pretty major shifts that are taking place. The last shift, the fifth shift, is about exactly how to use OpenAI or Gemini in a way that is going to have you be successful. And it has to do with training. Yeah, so these are signposts as well. So anyone else would like to say, Uday, Michael, like Ling, would you like to share a little bit about what you do, why you do what you do as
Yeah, so I
owners
go
of the business?
next.
Yeah,
Can you hear me okay?
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm heading a startup that basically it's an AI ML platform
Hmm.
to commoditize AI ML for the small to medium sized businesses.
Hmm. Okay, cool, cool. That's great. Anyone else would like to share what they do?
I can share.
Great.
I just started my business. I really will focus on provide the data AI strategy solution consulting and also data AI leadership coaching. The reason I'm doing this is because I work in a corporate world over 25 years. I see the gap between technology and the business leaders. Right now, AI is here. It's really need synergy, both from technology side and the business side to come up the right strategy for the business in order to drive business growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, welcome. Welcome. All right. So let me just throw out a couple questions here because we're talking about positioning. This is the Positioning Power Hour. And I'll tell you, this is for CEOs like yourself that I imagine are selling innovative solutions. So if you're not selling an innovative solution, you can just leave this call right now. This is not for you. And it's fine. Let's hear the few beeps if that's not for you. But if you are selling an innovative solution, this is for you because I want you to be successful. If your innovation is probably helping people be better, helping their businesses be better, and maybe even helping the world be a better place. Is that still you? Give me a thumbs up if that's you. Uday, Jeff, Ling, is that still you? Okay. So this conversation is not for people that do not own their business. This is for CEOs only, founders only. This is not for businesses that don't already have successful customers. So let me just check here. Do people here have already successful customers? Thumbs
No,
up. Okay,
not yet.
if you do not have successful customers, I want you to leave this call. And the reason for that is because I don't, this is magic. These five shifts are magic. They really work wonders. It's all in my book, but I'm going to reveal what these shifts are. And they only work if you actually have a great solution for people to make their world a better place. This is also for
Okay.
CEOs committed to helping other customers. It's for CEOs that do not say, this is for CEOs who have the offering requires people to change. So if you're selling something that does not require people to change anything, then this is not for you. You do not have to be here for this
We
conversation.
just launched, by the way, but yeah, I'm happy to lead. But we just launched about a week back, and we are in partnership and channel partnership agreements with several companies. But that said, I'll move out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you don't need to be here. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't want to diss him, but the reality is this stuff is really powerful. It really works, and I would hate to use this magic on for a business that does not actually have a product that's making the world a better place. Does that sound fair to you? Is that blasphemy? You guys down with that? Are you okay with this concept? Ness, no, maybe. Jeff, Reggie, Ling.
I mean, it
Mike?
depends upon, I don't know what your message is, right? So therefore,
Yeah.
I'm neutral as to, you know what you're trying to say and you know who the audience is.
Yeah.
Therefore, I would respect what you're trying to get to.
Sure. Okay. So let me ask you the question. What's more important? The end of the day, what's more important for your success? Is it your product or is it your message?
Both.
Both. And that's the safest answer I've ever heard.
But I mean, I look at it from the point of view of whether I am helping the customer with their problems, right? And that is how I look at it. It's not about what product I have to sell. It's about
Right.
whether I am solving my customer's pain.
Yeah, I love that. So about, if you're a pre-revenue, maybe that's okay, but you need to be VC backed, because if you're VC backed, you probably have some beta customers that are delighted. So I don't want to be too rude, but you've got to have some customers, even if they're beta. Maybe they're not even paying customers, but you got to have some kind of product. But at the end of the day, what's more important? Is it the product or is it the message? Now, unless you're ChatGPT, because they don't really have a message, they don't need a message, they have a product. But for you, if you're not OpenAI, for example, maybe you're not, what's more important?
I'd have to go with the message just because we run into a lot of competing products, but the ones that are able to clearly and crisply convey that they have a solution to the prospect's problem are the ones that I think are getting the most traction.
Yeah, 100%. Anyone else would like to comment on this? Do you feel like the best product always wins?
No, not really. I mean, if you look at the market out there, it's always, I mean, what comes to mind is how Apple is able to win based on how they message. There are other products who have way more features and capabilities, but somehow they know how to do the message.
Right. And Apple's already built up a lot of trust, and so has OpenAI. But for most of the market, probably has never heard of you, never heard of what you're offering. Speaking about never heard of you, a real scary question is like, we're talking about answer engine optimization now, LLM searching for your website now. Do you believe that OpenAI and Perplexity and Gemini and Mistral, they're reading your website now, I imagine? And do you believe that those AIs really get and really understand the power and the value of what you're offering right now? Just a yes or no question. Jeff, Reggie, Ling, Michael.
I would say no.
And why is that?
Well, part of it is where we come from as a history, right? We built a website based on before the Chat GPT, right? And the teams that built it based on those ideas. But as we look at how the new market is trying to find out what the company is, it's not the people, it's these chatbots, AI agents that's doing the research.
Right, but what do they research? And when they finally go to the site that you've written with your, hopefully your blood, sweat, and tears, you're saying that it's not communicating the value, the real power, and the impact of what you're offering. Is that right?
No, based on our current assessment, that's where we are, and we are in the process of changing our websites.
Yeah. So that's the scary question. So in the process of changing, you're in the right place because you got to nail your positioning right first. Because if you don't fix your positioning, your story right, then nothing else will work. And the AIs won't know what you're selling and can't even tell your story if it doesn't know your story. And we're going to talk about in the fifth shift today about how to do that as an open conversation. I'm also an AI educator. I also, as part of the work that we deliver, I help CEOs and their founding teams understand how they need to use AI for their sales and marketing business. So just so you know, that's where I'm coming from. And the fifth shift talks about how to do that for your business. So a lot of money is spent on marketing. And no offense, Reggie, it looks like your marketing team may be lurking here in the background. Are they here? Are they registered? Do you want to identify yourselves so I know who you guys are? This is a conversation.
Yeah, let me see who else is here.
Okay,
Right?
I'm going to dismiss them from the room because they're not vocalizing. So hold on. Participants. Okay. So I got two marketing. It looks like you guys are both on the same account. Oh yeah, I think I can do that now. More, remove. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, as my policy, I do not allow AI robots to listen in on this conversation and take notes unless their human is here to collaborate. And I don't want to allow people to be in the room if they're not participating. All right,
Hey, Greg,
so
quick question. Are you,
yeah.
by chance, going to be sharing the slides?
Yeah, so I'm not going to share slides. I'm gonna on my screen. I'm gonna put up some stuff for you guys to look at. So yeah, maybe I wasn't sharing there before. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, I see 2025, everybody in your team using a private custom GPT trained in your story, and you're probably not doing that now. And I see hopefully this year you guys can get tens of thousands of dollars of billable marketing reduced to just a few dollars in AI credits if you have a pre-trained AI in your story. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, how we do that with our customers. Getting you and your team using AI in the right way so you can grow like wildflowers is my business. I see the gap widening between companies that are using AI the right way and companies that aren't. And I feel like I'm a little bit like Pied Piper here, calling people and CEOs and founders to do it, but also a little bit like Chicken Little, because I do think the sky is going to fall. I think the bottom is going to come out. A lot of um, what do we call these jobs? These entry level jobs. I think college students now can't even get entry level jobs because they're being done by AI. And so lots of things are going to change. I think by 2027, there are going to be two types of businesses using AI and businesses that are out of business. It's going to be that stark. That's why I run an AI integrated sales and marketing enablement agency, helping our clients, I like to say, build rebellions. That's what we do. We build rebellions that look like brands. And we're going to talk about why that's more effective in the first shift to build lead a movement instead of just selling a great product. And we're going to talk about why that is so. Because I believe, and I don't know if you guys believe this as well, Jeff and Reggie and Ling, Michael, that your story is your strategy.
Yeah.
It's not something that you put lipstick on or run your website through or ask ChatGPT to fix, but essentially your strategy for what you're doing, who you're doing it for, why it works, what the secret sauce is, all of that is your story. And we're going to be showing you exactly how step by step you need to reveal that story in a really powerful way, in a simple and beautiful way that allows your prospects to instantly get what you do and allows you to grow the business. This is a messy diagram, but essentially, unless you do this work up front, which is your positioning and strategy, you're not going to be able to very inexpensively, and you won't be able to do it on brand, even with people, to explode content from creating GPT magnets or lead magnets or website content or sales emails, responses to proposals, all this like launching pad for content. That cannot happen easily and at a cost, a very low cost, unless you do this upfront work. Does this make sense, or have I completely lost you about this concept, about how they're both integrated? I'd like to just hear Jeff, Reggie. This is beginning to make sense, and we're going to be talking about some of the like reasons why people want to talk about this is because they're disappointed. Maybe you've been disappointed by the marketing you're getting out of ChatGPT. Just a yes or no. Have you been, Jeff,
Yeah.
Reggie, Michael? And why do you think that is?
The output appears to be very generic, which I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And the goal is to stand out. And so this is the way that you're probably using OpenAI today. You are using user memory and multiple chats and getting outputs. But the way that you need to be using AI is at that third level where you're having hundreds of chats, your team is having hundreds of chats, and you're building several different GPTs that do different things, but are all trained on your story. But what your story is not something that's easily found. It's hard found, but once you find it, it is the secret sauce that fuels this everything. And if you and your team need to by 2026 need to be working at this third level of chats using AI. And you don't have to be using OpenAI, although that I think is the best tool on the market now for this for copywriting, for marketing, but you could be easily using Claude is great, Gemini is great. So this is a first principles approach. So for you guys, if you can't stay to the end, we can book some time together if it's a fit. But I am going to give away some things at the end because I really appreciate your time. I'm going to give you some really valuable things. One, the 16-part magnetic messaging framework. Not only is this in the book, but it's a rubric to compare your homepage, which should be and is, or it should be your best sales presentation that really should communicate in 9 seconds to anybody that hears about you, whether it's a VC, whether it's your ideal customer, hearing about you from a conference, like in 9 seconds, what are you selling? What do you do? What problem do you solve? What do you want me to do? What's the thing that you're selling? And how are we going to get there? And what happens if I don't do anything? So all those questions have to be answered very quickly. And the magnetic messaging framework is one that you could use to help you arrive at that. Then we're also going to give away the 12 sales conversations that I say open minds and close deals. And this is actually born out of working on about 3,000 sales presentations for organizations that we found a pattern of what conversations need to happen in order to move deals forward. And those are the 12. If you miss one of those conversations, you'll likely lose the deal. And the last thing we'll give away is a free GPT homepage messaging evaluator that's been trained on the magnetic messaging framework that you could use to tune up your website. All right, so those are the giveaways. This is what the magnetic messaging framework looks like. And essentially, it's a template for making sure it has the components of the right story. This is my book if you want to learn more about the work we do with other folks and the essential messaging framework you should use. It's called Storycraft for Disruptors, and you can definitely pick that up on Amazon. I won't go into the TAP framework or other frameworks for prompting today, but unless you guys want me to, if we have time at the end for that. All right, so the fifth shift, if we have time for that, that is the shift where we talk about using AI specifically. But I'm going to put that in the parking lot because before we can go into how you're going to use AI, we need to talk a little bit about the 4 fundamental shifts that every founder needs to make. And this is just a little bit about me as an AI educator and CEO of Pitch Kitchen. And I personally trained now 115 custom trained AIs that are for public and private companies that have eliminated much more than 5 million in spend, by the way, but that number is going up. And that's awesome. It's awesome for them. They're getting like much higher quality marketing right on brand. Any questions? I just want to stop here. Does this make sense what I'm about to talk about? Are you guys feel like you're in the right space to have this conversation?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So this is why I'm in business. This is a website that was from a company called ReadyWorks. And what's wrong with this site? Creating innovative workflow technologies that drive high reliability. So this means nothing. But this is like millions, probably more than millions of business websites where it's leading with features, it's leading with self-proclaimed how awesome our technology is, how awesome our thing is. But let me ask you, does that really work? Does this approach to marketing work?
Nope.
Why doesn't it work?
It's too general. I don't see specific stuff.
You don't see what?
I don't see any specific solution here. They only mention technology.
Yeah. Well, it's got many more things wrong with that, but for sure. So often people like said, if I can just get them in a presentation, oh, all we need is just talk to them. And I hear this all the time. And that is embarrassing when I hear that because it means that the team, the CEO and the CRO and the chief marketing officer are realizing that nothing is landing on their primary sales presentation, which is their homepage. And nothing is landing. And so if they can just get somebody inside of a sales presentation, they have a better shot. But then when I look at the sales presentations, they're Frankendex. They're built over time. There's 70 slides and it's chock full of features. Have you ever seen one of these? You ever have one of these? Do you have one of these Franken-Decks? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
So does that help in selling, having a Franken-Deck to compensate for a core story that's invisible on your homepage?
No.
No.
No, it doesn't. And so then I see millions of B2B websites using words like this: unified solution, innovative. Oh my gosh. Revolutionary. Like, oh my gosh, this makes me like freak out. Like, says who? These are self-ascribing words. And marketers that you'd work with are delighted to use words like this because they typically make founders feel really good about their thing, right? But does it work? Does it get sales? Does it get people to change, to get people to have conversations with you? This kind of language? That's not a rhetorical question. I want to hear like yes or no. It's hard to see you guys.
No.
No. No. And why not?
I think
Yeah.
anybody can say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Janet.
So this is the positioning power hour, and forgive me, but I love you guys. I really do, and I want you to be successful. And if you're here for a reason. You're here because you know in your heart you've got a great product with great customers that love what you do, that love the solution and are really benefiting, and it's really making the world a better place. But most of the market doesn't know about you. And it's hard to cut through the noise because the noise maybe even not even is your competitors, but it's just general market noise. And so I want to just check in with you guys about this. So here's like 6 yes or no questions. Is your core messaging telling a problem-centric story? That means it's centered. It's centered on the problem that sets you apart. Yes or no? Let me a verbal yes or no in the chat if you want.
Yes.
Yes.
So you got a yes here. We got yes. That's great. Yes or no? Okay. 2, is your team cranking out 100% on-brand communications? Everybody in your team, emails, proposals, content, on demand every day, using AI with a shared message that shows up in every email pitch and prompt? Yes or no?
I would say no from an individual team, but we have a process where we make sure, that is how it gets communicated eventually. So internal process alignment it's kind of
Right.
a manual process, not automated.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's going to be by 2027, I promise you. And whether you do it quick or fast or slow is up to you. So 3, is your trained AI assistant, and I'm going to assume you have a trained AI assistant right now, but maybe you don't, in which case the answer is no here. Pitching your value proposition clearly and accurately in your brand voice right now. And if you're just using ChatGPT, it's probably a no.
No.
There. No. So do you have a repeatable way, like a webinar, a workshop, a stage talk that builds trust and positions you as the obvious choice in your market?
No.
Is this a yes or no? No. And
No.
so, yep, number 5, is your sales team leading what I call high trust, buyer-led conversations? Or is it more like demoing and hoping something sticks?
No.
It's the latter.
Is your team still avoiding the AI tools you've invested in, using hit or miss prompts, editing output that the robot creates? Oh my gosh, that is not our place as humans. And we got to fix it. Or maybe they're barely using AI at all. Maybe they're rebelling against AI, saying it's shit or it's garbage. And if you really want good stuff, you got to hire or work with them.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yeah. So basically, if you got 3 or more no's, the bad news is you're really not ready for what's coming. And it's going to hit pretty hard. The good news is the real problem is that you haven't made these 5 shifts. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But once you do, you're going to have complete confidence in all of the marketing, everything you do on your website, in your PR, in your LinkedIn, wherever you're communicating, in your talks, in your conversations. It'll be simple and clear. You're going to lead your category, accelerate the qualification of deals. You're going to have everybody in your team aligned. It's not going to be like some people are going to be saying one thing and other people are going to say another thing, which, by the way, happens often when the messaging isn't clear. And you'll be able to create tons of 100% on content. When I mean tons, I mean, I would say a month's worth of content in 3 hours. And someone on your team could do that. And it would be not just content, it would be not just noise, it would be brilliant, on brand, clear, cutting through the noise kind of content. And once you make these shifts, you'll be able to attract ideal customers having conversations with your team. That's the power of these shifts. And that's why I wanted to dismiss people who are in this that do not have a real product or that are solving a real problem that is more theoretical. And that's my choice to do that. I take responsibility for that. So the real problem is you haven't made these shifts, but we're going to make these shifts with you. I want you to be able to make these. All right. So should we get into the first shift? You guys down for that?
Sure.
So first shift is to lead a movement.
Mhm.
And so I heard a Ling. What do you think I mean by lead a movement?
I think it make change. You should the initiator to make things, doing things in different way.
Yeah. So specifically in your business, you know, what would leading a movement in your business look like?
Wow, in my business, it
Yeah, I mean,
should.
go on. I'm listening.
I'm thinking basically. I think what you talk about exactly. I'm on the in the process doing that. Basically,
Okay.
I realize such as the beginning story strategy, but I don't have a story. My current website.
You said Satori strategy? Is that a Japanese word? Satori? What? What did you say?
Story.
Story, a story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Story.
So,
Yeah.
so let's not talk about the story yet, because you can't lead a you can't create a story unless you know what you're rebelling against. So, you know, yes or no question. Are you guys selling something that is innovative? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so what does your innovation challenge? What's the enemy of your innovation? What's the enemy that you and your customer both have in common? You got to get clear on this because this is the core to your movement. So if you know what that enemy is, say it out loud. Let's hear you, Jeff. Let's see you, Reggie. Michael, you're lurking there, Michael. Would love to hear from you. What or who is the enemy that both you and your customer both stand shoulder to shoulder with, and through working together, or maybe through them working with your innovation in the right way, they're overcoming and conquering and slaying that dragon? What's the dragon? Let's name that.
We
What is
both
that?
want to lower CAC, or customer acquisition cost.
So a customer acquisition costs are too damn high, right? High customer acquisition costs. That's the enemy. Is that you, Jeff? Is that you said that, or was that?
Yes.
Yeah, great. I love that. Remember Salesforce.com did this in 2005? They became $1 billion company after attacking software and moving things to the cloud. You remember this? I got enough gray hairs to know this. You probably remember this as well. So this is attacking the enemy and getting really clear on your story, which is, where are we leading people to? You remember this? Anyone remember this, or is it just me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So any comments, Reggie and Michael and Ling, as far as where you think who the enemy is that you're
Yeah.
For me, for me, the enemy is really a lot of companies, the cost is so high for doing data and AI product. And the failure rate is high, cost is high. That's the biggest
the cost of
enemy.
failure, the cost of using AI in the wrong way and failing.
Yes.
Okay, great. So the old way of pitching is pretty much making claims of why we're the best. The new way of pitching is essentially leading a movement against the old way and aligning whatever it is that you're selling and assuming you're selling something that really makes a difference, aligning that with the new way. Does this make sense? This is a fundamental, what Chris Oleb calls an effective nexus. It shakes the confidence of your prospects, but in a good way. And it changes how your buyer thinks about the problem. It's polarizing. It's definitely polarizing. And this is something that 99%, the successful businesses do, and I'll give you tons of examples of successful businesses that do lead a movement, lead a rebellion. But I like to say I build rebellions with my customers that look like brands because they are leading their customers to a better place. So Simon Sinek says this: in order to stand out, we know to stand for. If you don't change how your buyers are thinking, you're pretty much dead. That's what the Challenger sale methodology that I grew up with. You need to be saying clearly, if you're leading a movement, words like stop doing something. Stop what? Stop doing it the old way. Start doing it the new. But what is that? So what are you saying to stop doing? What are you saying to start doing? Like Christopher Voss, I'm a disciple of Christopher Voss, Never Split the Difference book author. He teaches negotiation tactics and strategy, and he says stop chasing yes, which is brilliant, by the way. It's much more powerful to find out where people stand and what they're not willing to tolerate, and that's asking for a no. Would you be okay if nothing changed in your business in a year? That's asking for a no. Is now a terrible time to talk about this? That's asking for a no. So he's on a mission and uses that stop language. So look at some examples like cognition, goodbye spreadsheets, hello connected information. This is speaking to and alluding to a leadership movement. So if you guys know what your movement's about, feel free to speak, say what you're leading. What's your movement about? Feel free to say right now out loud, like what are you helping your customers move towards? A place where, like Aware.com, this is a publicly traded company that we help them make these 5 shifts. And this was there before. They were leading here. Biometrics Simplified was leading with them as the hero of the story, and also it was self ascribed glory. And it had nothing to do with their customers. Fight AI with AI is exactly what their customers are trying to do right now, and this works so much better. So those are just a couple examples, but feel free to speak now, Ling, Jeff, if you know what you're leading. And I believe, if you don't believe this, let me know, but I believe sales and marketing is an act of leadership.
Yes,
Do you believe that too?
I believe.
Certainly.
So if it's an act of leadership, what's the movement that you're leading? What's the uprising? What's the rebellion? And if you don't know, that's okay. That's why you're here. And
I don't know.
yeah.
I
So-
think this is really great stuff.
So my focus is on serving addressing the underserved market. There are certain markets that, because of the traditional approach, is very expensive. Come up with innovations where those underserved markets can be addressed.
Right. Well, that would be nice, but why should they care? Why do they give a shit?
Because they are in pain today because they are not being served.
In pain by what?
Operational challenges, cost of operating.
Yeah, see how we're peeling back the onion there, Reggie?
Right.
We're going there. But you got to go there because that's what they feel. That's what they're dealing with, and that's why they buy. So take a look at Airbnb. Like, this is a great successful brand. Live anywhere. I mean, do they really mean live anywhere? I mean, it's rather aspirational. But like, if you're going to lead a movement for people to do something, to achieve something, to go somewhere, it would be what your TED Talk would be about. It would be your hashtag. So take a look at these hashtags. I mean, one of these hashtags got a man elected president of the United States. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4 words got a man elected president. And if you don't believe that's powerful, words are powerful, then I don't know what. Words are powerful. They're like spells. Talk about magic. But what do all of these have in common? One's from the Wall Street Journal, trust your source, Just Do It's from Nike. Live Anywhere is Airbnb. Own Your Tomorrow is Charles Schwab. Hit Your Number is Zoom Info. What do all of these have in common?
They're aspirational.
Yes.
Yeah, what else do you see that they all have in common? Very specifically.
It's focus the customer. The focus
Well,
the
like,
end
can you
result.
what about focusing? Like, what like, what do you mean focusing on them? Like, it's telling them
Such
what?
such as hit your number, it means that's the end, that's they will get.
Yes, it's action.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
all starting with verbs, action.
Mm,
And that's, if you're going to sell, you're going to really dial in your positioning. Your messaging, your core story has to be about encouraging your prospects to take action.
mhm.
Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Is this helpful, by the way? Is this
Yes.
okay? So Zoom Info, they're selling the most boring thing in the world. They're selling data. How boring is that? But their hashtag isn't buy our data. Their hashtag is hit your number, which
Mhm.
if you buy their data and use their data in the right way, you might actually be able to sell more, and that's what you want, right? So it's simple, but it's actually really hard for businesses to do this. And if you don't know your hashtag, that's fine, but if you do, let me know, let me hear it, or just type it in the chat. Jeff Aronson, founder and president of Equipex, before he made these shifts, brilliant guy, confusing marketing content, letting key partners down, losing deals to no decision, very frustrating. This was their website before. It meant nothing. Pretty, but meant nothing. He tripled the revenue and 6x pipeline in just 4 months after positioning shift in all of their marketing messaging. And so grateful. Partners are now selling easily because they don't have to rely on him or his team to sell. The message sells itself. It does the heavy lifting. And this is the after heavy lifting, where it speaks of the transformation story of turning the underutilized equipment that these hospitals have into what they want to become, which is an optimized health system. So I can give you a ton of examples of this. There's a gazillion great examples, but does that make sense? Is there anything you can clarify about this first shift about you need to lead a movement?
No, this is right.
Okay, so shift 2. Are you okay for me to jump into shift 2? And I'll go through the others pretty quick, but I want you to get it. Fall in love with the problem. And so when I asked you at the start of this conversation to share with me what you guys are doing, what was absent from those descriptions? It was solution focused. It wasn't problem focused. So why not start with your solution? And this is the reason why you shouldn't start with your solution. While this may not be your market, you may not have as many of these competitors. Let me ask you this question. Do your prospects that you talk to now, or that you have talked to recently, have they ever confused what you're selling with solutions that are nothing like yours?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah. And if that's happened, this is the problem. There's solution noise because you're speaking and your messaging, your positioning, your website, your sales presentation is all about the solution and not the problem. So I like to ask this question. Do you feel like you're undervaluing the problem in your core message? And what I mean by undervaluing the problem, like what happens if your customers don't change and they just continue on doing their thing? What's
They
the
lose
impact? What's the impact of their
they,
lives, their business?
they lose $1 million for business.
And what happens if they lose millions of dollars? Like, so what? What are the other ripple effects?
Out of business.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So getting really clear on who your ideal customer is um, and dialing into what problem they're dealing with and having that problem show up in empathy, that you and your brand, your story, your website, everything you're talking about, we help customers who are struggling with, we help businesses that are frustrated with over this. That's a problem centric intro, instead of we help businesses that are trying to achieve. We help customers that want to get to some future place. That doesn't work. And this is an example of, this is a shitty website from someone, a CEO that came to the masterclass, and I hate to beat up on him, but like, if I saw a website like this where they're telling me that I should trust them, that they're courageous, they're accountable, compassionate, and excellent, do you think I will believe this and want to buy from this company just because they've said it?
No.
Need proof points.
Depends.
It depends. Well, I don't know about you. I will not want to contact this company just because is rather narcissistic, if you ask me, where they think they're just like, says who? Like, I just can't deal with that. So the good news is the world needs your solution. Ling, you're saving businesses millions of dollars. Jeff, you're saving organizations also time, money, headache, lost opportunity. Reggie, you're saving organizations also lots, but they need your solution. But the reality is the money that they're going to spend on your innovation is going to follow pain. It's not going to follow your beautiful description of the solution. Have you found this to be true in your own selling experience, Reggie, Jeff, Ling?
Yes, certainly. I mean,
Mhm.
you want to tell the story about how their problem is our best interest of solving it.
And tied to that, it's not just about talking about their pain. It's describing how they are, what they're experiencing in your marketing. And by the way, the reason I'm bringing this up, because you got to train your AIs on this stuff. Because if you don't, AI doesn't know. So, do you believe that customers buy more when they feel understood than when they understand your solution? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they buy more when they feel understood. And so this is
Mhm.
empathy. And this is what I call the vitamin versus painkiller. I've found in the research that we've done with Gong.io that people in business are twice more likely to buy something to relieve pain than gain something. Have you found that to be true as well?
Yes, certainly.
Yes.
Right. But if you look at your marketing, your messaging now, you're probably not messaging problem centric
Mhm.
because it doesn't answer the three questions. Why should they change? Why should they change now? And why you? When you're starting with the problem, it sounds more like we help companies who are struggling with something or frustrated with or dealing with the impact of having lost millions of dollars or have a limited window of success. And we help them by doing the following. We help them to fill in, there's more to the pitch. This is just the way the pitch starts with a hook that is problem centric. Does that make sense? Does that feel right to you?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is also, you probably read Crossing the Chasm from Jeffrey Moore. This is Crossing the Chasm by Greg Rosner in my book, where I feel that in marketing that we found is wildly successful, to be selling to people who recognize that the risk of doing nothing in their business is greater than the risk of them changing. But most of the business, if you think Reggie and Jeff and Ling, that the business that you've lost in the last 6 months, you probably lost to what they call no decision or maybe next year or maybe not now. And if you
Mhm.
lost to that entity, then you've lost to the risk of changing. What do you feel about does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you got to sort of bifurcate this and sort of ignore a lot of people on this curve, educate some of the people, encourage, influence others, and close people who are on the curve where they already feel that. So your messaging really needs to bifurcate the audience and get people to realize that, look, the world has changed, things have changed. And if you continue to do things the old way, God bless you, good luck. But if you recognize that things have changed, the winning organizations are playing the new game this way. And this is how we can help you. And so you're aligning your strategy, your story with world changes. And I'm sure each of you can do that with what you're selling right now. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So type in the comments below. This is a bit of a pop quiz. You can either say it verbally or write it in the comments. What is the number one problem that you solve? This is pop quiz time.
Mhm.
let's see if what made sense a minute ago is on board in the heart and mind of a wonderful founder. And I'm so glad you guys are here to have this conversation. Because I believe this conversation, even though there's only 3 of us, 4 of us, that we can make a difference in our business and help the world be a better place. So type in the comments. So all project fail rate is high. Great. Thank you, Lang. What's your number one problem? Lead Genesis lowers your customer acquisition cost. Okay, I'll give you a C on that for a minute, Jeff. I'll come back. Operational efficiency, more work with less people. All right. The problem with that one is also a C, Reggie, and you, Jeff. What is the problem? Why is that not the problem? Why is that? That is more of a what? That's a goal. That's a future state. So it's something that creates a future state that your customers aren't in. Operational efficiency is a future state. Your customers are not in operational efficiency now, are they, Reggie?
They are not.
They're not doing more work with less people now, are they, Reggie?
They are not.
Right. So that's not describing the problem. That's describing a goal, a future state. So this is hard stuff. It's a fundamental shift in your message. And I want you to get this, but it does take work. So Lead Genesis lowers your customer acquisition costs. That is a future state goal. So if you want to take another stab at this, go for it. But suffice to say, it needs work to really nail the problem. Who's feeling the problem? What does it look like? That's the problem that you're in business to solve. So facts don't change people's minds. You can't just, can you tell people the facts of your solution will reduce costs by 96%? Is that enough to get people to buy?
No.
No. And what have you noticed about why facts don't change people's minds? Why don't facts change people's minds?
They have to be proven, substantiated.
Proven by whom?
Customers, relevant customers.
But even if they're proven by relevant customers, don't people believe in the things that they themselves decide, not what those people say?
Yes, that is true. The reality for themselves is created by themselves,
Yes, that's all reality. So this is what we're talking about. Let's go there. So this is core. So if you can describe your customer's problem better than they can, I can promise you they'll automatically believe that you have the best solution, even before you have a case study, even before you show the list of 101 logos. And why is this true? Why does this make sense to you?
Because you're narrating their personal experience, and that they will resonate very well.
Like a doctor who has seen this cancer 100 times. Exactly. And could describe the symptoms and what you're experiencing better than you can describe it yourself because they know it better. And in a way, aren't you guys selling medicine to people who have a problem? And in a way, don't you guys really understand their disease better than they do?
Yes.
True.
So this is the change you guys have to make, because I bet you your website and your marketing is not doing this today. Here's an example from ReadyWorks Health, patients before paper. How wonderful is that? This is a great example where it's problem-centric. They're selling technology that helps hospitals make sure that their doctors and their nurses actually spend more time with patients instead of pushing paper. It speaks to the heart of the problem. And since these guys shifted their message, they have been growing like wildflowers. I don't have the numbers, but this has been major. And it's been delightful for them, because that's why this founder, Jordan, who's the CEO of ReadyWorks, that's why he's in business, to overcome this big problem in the healthcare industry. And I'm sure you guys have chosen your industry and worked tirelessly. That's why you're here in this discussion, is because you are really, you believe in the product that you've built. I imagine that's right, Jeff and Ling, right? And Reggie, you believe. It sounds like a religion here. I believe, I believe. But it is kind of like that. If you're telling a story, you have to believe in the story. You know, you have to believe in it. And that's why I kicked out somebody that doesn't have customers, because I don't want just belief. I want a belief backed by fact. And I want to make sure that you've got a great product that's helping people. So does that make sense in terms of starting with the problem as a second shift?
Yes.
Here's some examples of some customers that went from 137 customers to nearly 3,000 using these shifts, and it works. All right. So it's hard. I know it's hard. Marketers you hire aren't going to do this right, and ChatGPT is not going to do this right because it doesn't know, but you need to collaborate with it. You need to train. I'll show you exactly how to do that. Fancy GP prompts won't save you either because it's trained for marketing 2015. So the third shift is make your customer the hero. And we've all heard this. We even heard this from Donald Miller and StoryBrand. But, if they're the hero, who does that make your solution? Anyone want to take a stab at that? If you have characters of the story and they're the hero, what's your role in the story?
Enabler.
Yeah. So in Lion King, you'd be Rafiki. In Star Wars, you'd be, by the way, one of my customers did this. They love this idea so much. They did this for me. You'd be Obi-Wan, right? In the original Star Wars idea. I mean, they're taking liberties with the multiple, canon pieces, but you get the idea. So, this is very helpful if you're selling a sophisticated solution to a sophisticated B2B buyer. You have to take into account all the characters on the stage. Who are the victims of the story? Who are the adversaries helping the villain keep things the way they are? What's your role as the guide? Who are the champions that are going to help you sell internally and externally? And where's the promised land that you're taking your customers to, the world where things will be better for them? Does this feel right? This idea of overlaying of a story framework on top of your business? Any questions about this?
No, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, this is great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is what you need to train your AIs with too in a document very clearly, because if you're selling in a complex environment, they're going to be champions. They're going to be adversaries. So how do you message to them to either get them on board or to discount them so that you can help the hero overcome the villain and be successful? So this is a good framework to have. And we talked about the villain earlier, who's the dragon of your story. And this is tied to the problem, but you need to get really clear on what the problem is. And the thing is, most marketing that you do and most marketing you see, it's all in love with the solution. Wouldn't you agree? The marketing you see mostly is in love with itself. Would you
Yes.
agree with that?
Right.
I mean, most homepage you
Mhm.
go with, it's obsessed with. The good ones aren't, but the bad ones are obsessed with how great the thing is. But most CEOs do not know how to do this. Most founders don't know how to do this. But fundamentally, I can tell right away from looking in 3 seconds a website what character the brand is. Is it saying why we're the best, or is it saying how we make you better? And that's that's like Solomon's sword right there. It's cutting it in half. And you can even ask ChatGPT, is this website making the customer the hero or making us the hero? 9 out of 10 times it'll say it's making you the hero. And why does making your customer the hero work better? This is an open question to you, Jeff, Reggie, Ling. Why does making your customer the hero work better?
Well,
Because
good, Ling.
because the focus is the customer. Customers feel they are highly valued.
Yeah. If they
By
fail,
us.
they're on the hook for failure.
Yeah, they are
on the
on the
hook failure
hook.
for your
Yeah.
business too. But when you're selling something, you're the helper.
Mhm.
We're all heroes in our own lives and our own businesses, but
Mm.
from the stage that, like the performance stage, your customer, they have a problem. They're
Mhm.
suffering because of that problem. If they don't do something about that problem, bad things are going to happen. They have options, but if they don't take the right option, they don't do the right thing, that you know what the right thing is. But if they don't do the right thing and do it in the right way, they will fail. There will be consequences. But if they do the right thing in the right way, they'll be successful. And there are folks that are going to help them do it. Folks that are going to encourage them to do it the old way. There's lots of characters on the stage, but essentially you can tell right away what the voice is of your business, making this distinction. Here's an example of a website, AI human interaction, creating a better world for tomorrow. Like, oh my gosh, roll my eyes. Terrible, terrible. IPMD. What are they selling? Who are they selling to? I've got no idea. Like, really awful. Terrible, terrible. After they made the shift, give doctors superpowers, bring emotional artificial intelligence to patient encounters through a telemedicine platform that they're selling. So it's very sophisticated software that they're selling, but essentially the story they're telling is trying to get doctors to be better so that they can help patients better through their technology. This is much better than this, which was what they had before. And it really is because of the clarity of the story, making their customer the hero. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So if you think about what you're really selling, you know, your customer's in a shitty situation, they want to get to a better situation, you're selling something that's going to help them achieve that. So it's a catalyst. And this gets back to the sales and marketing and active leadership, because if you're leading them, you're helping them make a change. Would you agree that that's really your job as a founder, to help your customers adopt and make a change?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
speaking about change, all this shitty, forget my French, but I'm really passionate when I talk about this stuff. All these bad call to actions we see on websites that aren't really calling people to make a change, like join the adventure, learn more, like that is no good. You need to be very clear and specific about what the first step is they need to make in order for them to make that change. So notice the ones on the right are very clear. Like, get your impact assessment. Oh, I want that. Schedule your brainstorm, schedule your discussion. Great. Get expert recommendations. So I like to call these call to value instead of call to action, which is something that would be valuable for your customer, your prospect to do as their first step, like get up on the dance floor kind of thing. Does that make sense? Like how important that is. And you should show what that first step is right there on your homepage in a 3-step frame. Step 1, get up on the dance floor. Step 2, do this other thing. Step 3, you're already across the river being successful. If you don't lay out this 3-step plan, people are going to hit your website and they're not going to do anything because it's confusing. They don't know how long it's going to take. They don't know what they need to do. And they're likely just going to fill in the blanks with the wrong information. Can I answer any questions about how powerful this 3-step plan is? It's super powerful, this technique. Do you guys have a 3-step plan on your website today?
No.
No.
Jeff?
Nope.
All right. And lastly, where a lot of deals go to die, do you guys have a submit form on your website?
Yeah, we do.
Well, yes.
So you're losing revenue because you have a submit form. You need to swap that out for a calendar form where they commit to the date and time, and then you ask them to fill out 9 questions or whatever. But I saw a statistic from Gong.io that 68% of people that fill out forms never end up talking to sales reps. And that's structural. It's a structural problem. It's an easy problem to solve, but most websites have submit forms. So this is highly tactical, but I bring this up because we're talking about making your customer the hero. And if you want to make somebody a hero, you got to tell them what to do so that they can be successful, you know, and people get distracted. So anyway, if you guys want to talk specifically about how I can help my business and I can help, feel free to snap this QR code, or you can click the link in the chat. Happy to meet with you. Patricia, we helped her business drastically. New product, new board, massive goals, frustrated with performance. Afterwards, doubled sales rate in 3 months, which I see double win rate. Like that's usual. I see that all the time after these are made. In fact, we'll probably be putting together a guarantee after we work with customers and they do what we suggest, they will double their win rates easily in 3 months. So this is an example of her post. She posted this on LinkedIn Stop delivery at any cost, start cost-effective delivery. Even though you don't know what that means, her clients know what that means. And she emailed me after she posted that and booked a high-level meeting with a great customer from one post. And this just speaks to me as the power of words, of telling your story clearly and passionately and making your customer the hero. All right, so any questions? We'll move on to shift 4. Well, I think we're going to run through shift 4 very quickly because I want to spend more time on shift number 5. Shift number 4. Oh, you got game with that, Jeff, Ling, Reggie?
Yes.
Mhm.
Name your category. So what is the category that you're in now? Reggie, Jeff, Ling, what would you say your category is? Like if Gartner put you in a category, what would be the category?
Go-to-market engineering.
Go-to-market engineering. Okay, great. And Ling, Reggie?
Smart agents.
Smart agents. Great. And Ling, what's your category?
Consulting service,
What is it?
consulting.
Consulting. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the secret formula, secret recipe for differentiation in your market is create your unique category. And you can see businesses like NVIDIA did this. So they're in the computing category, but by combining 2 different types of chips, they're accelerated computing. It's fairly simple. So it's your unique category is basically picking out on the umbrella category. My category here at Pitch Kitchen is AI integrated sales and marketing enablement. And that's just adding AI integrated on top of sales and marketing enablement, which is an existing category. Apple did this with Apple Intelligence. I think they have a terrible, like, this is a disaster in a way because there's no product here. They haven't released any product. It's all marketing fluff and everybody sees it. But they do have a strong marketing system. And this is why I kicked out somebody earlier because I need product first, not just good marketing, because this works. People are buying iPhones in the millions expecting to get Apple Intelligence, but they're getting a dumb Siri instead. Anyway, but the marketing really works. It's dangerous stuff. So take a look at comfort ownership as a good new category for Comfort Connect. You've heard of vacation ownership from Marriott Rewards. Have you heard of vacation ownership before, like selling timeshares? Have you heard of that before?
Yes.
Yeah. So they created a category, which is time sharing. It's called vacation ownership. So you can see lots of examples of this. So how do you beat Bobby Fischer? You play him at any game but chess. He was a master chess player. So ReadyWorks has smart forms. Clipper has video intelligence, cognition, information driven, intelligent recovery, a CCO instead of a PPO for healthcare. So take a look at some of these companies. All of these companies have added one word in front of their existing category that drives the distinction of their uniqueness. And this is a really great thing for you guys to do. We do this with all of our customers. It allows them to get attention by Gartner and create a unique category that everybody else is trying to catch up to. So do you know your unique category? Feel free to say it out loud or type it in the comments. If not, this is something that you need to do. All right. Do you want to name your category? Do you know your category, or should we just leave that off for now?
Yeah, it'll require some thinking from me.
What's that?
It'll require some thinking from me.
Yeah. All right. Ready for shift 5. This is the secret weapon, and this is the most powerful of all the 5 shifts. This is what I'm probably most excited about. I am most excited about because of the collaboration, the brilliance, the just mind-blowing creation that I see happening with AI right now. It's so exciting. But the idea is you can't get AI to work unless you do the training, and it's hard work. You're going to get, have you seen words like this come out of GPT, by the way? Foster, streamline, embark, harness. Have you
Yes.
seen it?
Yes.
So this is like, it smells like ChatGPT when you read content like this. And why does it smell like GPT? Is because it's been trained on billions of words, marketing words from 2015. So you need to detox ChatGPT as part of this process. So GPT is like a brilliant apprentice Harvard grad marketer that's been trained on billions of marketing words from the 2010s. The secret weapon is to get AI to become your marketing expert, but how you do that, it's a 3-step process. Engage an outside expert like me and like my team and I, to facilitate interviews, to pull out those golden insights that you have, answering all those questions, and then use the most effective problem first frameworks of marketing and messaging, the game over narrative frameworks. Use that document, which is like a 25, 30 page, 40 page document, to train the GPTs or train the AIs to generate that content. And you can train multiple AIs to do different things, but you can start with one. And then once you've done that, then we could redesign the website, redesign sales presentations, write amazing emails that perform so much better, marketing posts, social media posts, and doing that at 25x efficiency. I kid you not. That means 25 for every dollar you're spending now, you're going to get 25 more X out of that, or you'll be spending a whole lot less. And it'll be much better, much safer, much faster, much better, much higher quality, converting at a lot better rate. So there's that confusing diagram here where you'll have all this good stuff here on the right side here, if you've done the work on the left side. And of course, there's add-ons. We're experimenting now with an AI software sales development rep that is doing wonders right now. I called him Bob. His name is Bob. He's an AI rep. He does great work at a fraction of the cost. No vacation days, no laptop costs. Yes, it's a virtual machine that Bob is running on, but it's essentially an AI agent, and it's at a tenth of the cost of what a sales development rep costs, and performing much better. So those are add-ons that you can always do. But if you don't have your story right, I would not recommend doing any kind of AI SDR. Any questions I can ask specifically about, like all the cool things you can do? You can create digital clones of yourself or your founder to post 40 times a day. You can do all sorts of cool stuff, but unless the AI is trained right, it won't work. Any questions about that?
No.
These questions on the screen, like what do your customers want? Who are they? What do they believe around the issue about the villain? What are their triggers that make the status quo intolerable? All these questions need to be answered and put into a document. And it sounds boring as heck, but guess what? What are LLMs? What do they eat for breakfast? What do large language models eat for breakfast?
More language, more
They
text.
eat language. Yes, so we need to use language to train. And once you give it enough patterns, and 40 pages is enough patterns. In fact, I'm going to pop out of here. We're right now doing answer engine optimization for our clients, and we're experimenting with training the AIs. And the pages we're creating now, I call this answer engine optimization page. This is a really long page. It's about 50 questions and answers that's structured in a very specific way for the LLMs of the world to read, so that when a founder, which is our ideal customer, is talking to ChatGPT and asking ChatGPT, who should I trust to help us with our positioning and our marketing so we really could bring our product to market, there's going to be questions in here that will already have trained the LLMs, so that will come up in those searches, in those, not so much searches, but in those conversations with AI agents in 2026. This is standard now to part of our delivery to our clients to make sure they have an AEO page. Have you ever heard of this before? Is this totally new to you guys about answer engine optimization?
It's kind of like FAQs.
It's like an FAQ. Exactly. It's a highly structured FAQ, and I got some tutelage on how to structure it based on how the LLMs digest patterns and information more. But I would say that is something that is you can do, but you can't do that unless you get your story done first. Get those questions done first. Get that document done. And I can show you here, like if you just go to GPT, if I go to GPT, open, you can see all the GPTs that I've created, that my team and I have created for our clients, like Applied Frameworks, and others. And these are trained GPTs that tens of people use every day to create content. And instead, like they're basically a virtual, or their AI CMO, a chief marketing officer that makes sure their content is written on brand. And I can show you how all that works and how these are trained. But that's the secret recipe. So yeah, as we're wrapping up here, I promised to talk to you about how you nail your sales message, turn your homepage into a home run. I don't know if I talked about that. Why it's game over for most marketing playbooks. How to attract ideal customers into buying conversations and lead a category of one, and we talked about that. And how to get AI to create 100% on brand content. We talked about that. So these are the 5 shifts. This is what you got to do. What are your thoughts about these shifts? Is this making you feel, how do you feel? Are you overwhelmed now, or does this feel like something you got to do, or how are you feeling?
I think all of this makes sense. It's just now getting into the details and making it happen.
Right. So, I mean, here's what I have for you. If you can do nothing or go it alone, I encourage you to get help from me. And if you want to get help, you can book a call. I put a link in the chat, but you can also snap this QR code and book some time with me and my team, and we'll talk. It's I'm not going to be a pitch session. It's really going to be a clarity session. Let's talk about what's needed to dial this in and get a plan in place. We typically have a 3-month, 90-day shift, and you can read all about that on our website at pitchkitchen.com. I call it a CYM, GTM, so create your market and go to market ladder. A lot of people are talking about go to market, but unless you've created your market, you're not going to be successful going to market. So, and that has to do with positioning and story. And you'll see here month 1 and month 2 and month 3, all the things that we deliver to that aim.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, so it's a lot here. I mean, this is a positioning power hour. I mean, I do this to really help CEOs and help you guys. So I hope you got value from this. I hope I wasn't cursing too much, but I am passionate about this. Do you want to just say, as we're wrapping up, what was one thing that you got out of this discussion that you don't think you'll ever forget?
I think it for me is the rephrasing the message from end state versus the current problem.
Yeah. I think getting them to the promised land with what you mentioned of like stop doing this and start doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I call that the Cinderella quandary. You know the story of Cinderella? She was like a maid or something, and she was living this terrible life. And the advice for Cinderella is what? Like, if we had to give her advice, the fairy godmother, was it to go to the ball? Was it to marry rich or live happily ever after? So, like, what is it? I think it was go to the ball, like, and maybe you'll meet the prince. So that was the first step. So the call to action has to be clearly defined. If it's too nebulous, like live happily ever after, like, it's like, what? Really? That's too far out there. So getting clear on what you want people to stop doing and start doing in the context of what they can understand, how far ahead they need to see in order for them to be successful. That's the context that is very important when you're deciding this language. And once you train the GPT, once you train AI on the pattern of what you're thinking, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about what we see. Because if you think about GPT and AIs, it has been trained on neuroscience and all of human history and philosophy, and is so much smarter than us. And as soon as you give to GPT a structure that it recognizes the pattern of, based on all its deep learning, you'll get the wordsmithing that you could never, like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. And it works so much better than me going up on the mountaintop and coming down with your 10, hashtags. No, don't let me do that. I work collaboratively with AI to come down from the mountaintop with the hashtags, but it's a collaboration once the AI understands the pattern. Does that make sense?
Yes.
In terms of, this is a little what we teach in the AI education workshops I do. When you're working with AI, it is really a collaboration. And the secret that I found is it's not what you can get out of AI, it's what working with AI gets out of you in the collaboration. It like expands your founder vision, expands your depth of understanding much more, which if AI can do that, you're going to be more successful as a founder versus a lot of founders like, oh, how can I get 25x efficiency on marketing? Yes, that will happen, but that's not really where the magic is. The magic that was really going to help you grow is through the depth of exploration, co-conspirating, and collaboration with AI. So yeah, I'm sorry to get off my mountaintop here and do a lot of talking, but I hope this was helpful. I hope that this was valuable for you. And I'm here for you if you wanted to schedule some time and really look at how this might help your business. Bring your product to your customers and make their worlds a better place. Because that's why I believe you're here. I believe that's the reason why you're here, not just for the money or the millions, because that can come and that won't necessarily bring happiness and betterment to the world.
Yeah. May I ask where are you located? Where do you live?
I'm on planet Earth. I love this planet. I live in New York with my wife and two very small children. I have a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And I also have a 25-year-old and a 27-year-old from my first marriage. So I have a privilege of seeing two different perspectives. One is struggling to get a job out of college, and one who I'm basically telling stories every night and building pictures with AI. I can't even imagine what his world is going to look like in college. So I have the privilege of seeing a very wide, spectrum of bringing up kids in this world. But I live in New York. Where do you live, Ling?
I'm living in Philadelphia. Actually, we are pretty close.
We're pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty close, even if I was in Mars, because I think we have a meeting. We have a meeting. We have a meeting of the minds, and I think that's more important than anything.
So how long have you doing this?
Yeah. So I started Pitch Kitchen in 2017. I came to marketing having hated marketing because the marketing I got from the CMOs sitting in their ivory tower, sending down to us salespeople to like sell with these shitty pitch decks was like terrible. I couldn't sell with them. And so I decided to design better presentations that help me and my team have better conversations. And that's when I started making a lot more money. And that's when I realized I started a side hustle to help businesses design better presentations to sell better. And that's when I started Pitch Kitchen. And then I realized in 2018 that it's not about the sales deck. It's about the story. It's about the position. And then I moved upwards to say, okay, what's the strategy? What's the story? And that trickles down to the website, to where we design websites, to the sales presentations, to designing everything that comes down from that. So that was my evolution of growth, learning that it starts with clarity of the story.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Yeah.
Cool.
So how can you will send us an email?
Well, I mean, I will, but there is in the chat, you should find a link. You should be able to click that link, and there's a few questions in there to make sure it's a right fit. I don't have time for everybody. I make time for my kids and my business, so let's just make sure it's a good fit.
I don't see you put in the chat.
Okay, let me put it in the chat. But if it's a fit, let's definitely schedule some time. I set aside some time for these calls. So Jeff, thank you, and thank you, Reggie. I appreciate you, and I want you guys to be wildly successful, and hope this was valuable.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Greg. Great stuff.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Did you put it in the chat? I don't see that.
I'll put it in the chat in a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
So give me a second. Okay, chat. Okay. There it is.
Okay.
And so,
Thank you.
Reggie, I want to apologize to you. I didn't mean to dismiss your marketing team, but I mean, I hope you appreciate this is a conversation, a high-level, founders-only kind of conversation, right?
Yeah, no worries about it. I only invited because when I got the registration and an email, it said, "Hey, if you want to bring your team along, please bring it along." That's all it is.
I understand. Okay, but no offense, right? No, we're cool, right?
All right.
Okay. Cool.
Thanks.
Sure. Bye-bye.